Hey guys, and welcome to From My Lens podcast. Today's episode is called How to Start a Startup with Radhika. She is an educator and entrepreneur. She has 5 educational facilities in the Toronto area and has been doing this for approximately 8 years now. In this podcast, we will talk about how she made it all happen. So, thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to follow Radhika's journey. I have also linked her social handle in the description. In the meantime, feel free to also leave a review and subscribe. Please help me welcome Radhika. How are you today?
Hi, Gargi. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you so much for coming on From My Lens podcast.
It's been my pleasure.
I just wanted to invite you on From My Lens podcast to talk about your journey. Living in Texas, then you moved your way to Toronto. How did that all happen? And then you started at such a young age. I believe that was 20 when you were 25, you started your own academies.
I was 22 actually when I graduated from university. I
Wow.
was in the US, and then my entire family moved to Canada, and I just decided to follow suit with them. And upon arriving here, I was actually planning to go to medical school, but
Wow.
I guess, life had different plans for me and decided to jump into the education field. And here we are, 8 years later. I have 5 learning centers. We teach kids ranging from kindergarten to grade 12 and even university students. And it's been a very rewarding experience. Yep.
That's amazing. And what motivated you to even take that route?
So when I moved from Texas to Toronto, I had about 6 months before I even thought about medical school. And during that time, I just wanted to study, but at the same time, I was also looking for some job opportunities. And instead of taking on a full-time position anywhere, I decided to tutor kids in my neighborhood. I was tutoring at homes. I was tutoring at local libraries. And it was just for fun. Initially, it was for fun. I truly enjoy teaching. I've been tutoring students since I was in high school, actually.
Right.
And again, I never thought about it as something that I could pursue full time or something that I would even want to pursue in my future. But after having 6 months of tutoring and my business just growing,
Mhm.
it kind of gave me a different perspective about this field. And I said, you know what? It's time to kind of try out the business side of things, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and I also remember because I've known you for many years, and
Yes.
I remember you also tutoring from your basement. Like, that's incredible.
Of course, yes. So I was tutoring from home, and it never really felt like I was doing something that I didn't want to, or it didn't feel like work to me because
Mhm.
I truly enjoyed what I was doing. So there were days when, my family tells me now that I was like teaching students from 9 a.m. to about 11 p.m. at night,
That's
and I didn't really even realize it at that point, but because I truly enjoyed, inspiring kids, teaching, mentoring, guiding them. It was a wholesome experience for me, and I'm so happy that I started. There were humble beginnings, but I'm happy that I started, and I'm so glad that we are here. So many years later, and still doing the same thing.
that's amazing. And from what I know, you mentioned you have 5 academies, and did you just start that right off the bat, or how did you first have one academy and then did you work your way up from there? Yeah, like how did you grow that?
So I started with one center initially
Mhm.
just to kind of see how it worked out. And I wanted to pursue it on a smaller scale initially before taking the dive in and opening many at one time. I didn't want to do that. I also knew in the back of my mind that if I'll give it an honest shot, if it doesn't work out, I always have my education to fall back on. And I do have that opportunity to go to med school if anything. So I started up with one center. I gave it about a year, but it just kind of expanded and just blew up. Within the first year, I purchased my second commercial property and started my second location. Then within the next 2 years, I opened my third. So every year or every 2 years, I've been opening a new location, taking it a bit slower because I do want to, when I open a center, I do want it to be fully up and running and have it get to a point where it's sufficient before I take
Absolutely.
on, like, self-sufficient before I take on another project. So
Definitely.
yeah, so I did it one at a time,
Right.
just so I could focus fully on the locations being successful.
Got it. That's awesome. And do you have a team of like team for Vidya Learning Center?
Yes, so the business name is actually Vidya Learning Experience,
Right.
and we have a team of about 20 tutors,
Mm-hmm.
and they have all different backgrounds, and we have science tutors, English, French tutors. I personally myself started tutoring, and I was personally tutoring students myself.
Right.
However, in the last few years, I've just kind of taken a step back and I'm on to the more management side.
Mm-hmm.
So overlooking, the logistics, managing all the locations. We also now have a virtual platform where we tutor kids online.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
ask you that. Like how, especially with the whole COVID situation, how are you managing that and what are you doing differently? Yeah, like for anybody who is um who who are educators, what advice can you also give them? Sorry, there were like four questions in one sentence.
no worries. So with COVID, we were fortunate enough, and I'm truly very thankful for, first of all, the customer base that I have and the clients that I have for the continued support. And with COVID, it was tough initially, but I knew that we would have to take it online
Right.
if we wanted to stay afloat. And I'm glad I did. And with the help of a few people, we were able to do that within 2 weeks of the initial lockdown here in Toronto.
Right.
And we got a great response from our community. There was a little bit of hesitation from some parents who were not really, accustomed to the online learning, and they were not really open
Right.
to it. But once they, kind of gave it a shot, they tried out the classes, they saw how personalized the sessions were. It
Mhm.
was no different from our in-person session. Our tutors are great. Like the kids absolutely love the tutors, and
Right.
so providing them that kind of guidance and support during COVID, we got a good response from our customer base. And I would say anybody in the education field who is doing virtual learning right now, it's really good to kind of give a personalized feel to the sessions. I think
Right.
that's what makes the clients and the students stick to the program, because
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, with everything going on right now, especially with kids, it's been really difficult for them
Mhm.
mentally. We get
Right.
calls every day about how difficult it's been for certain students staying at home,
Mhm.
not being able to communicate or have a social life. So that one session that they're having with their students, the teachers that they're there with their students, the students really appreciate that because they have someone to talk to. They have someone to share their, whatever they're doing daily with. Our teachers
Right.
play games with them. We have activities that we do with
Mhm.
them. So it's a wholesome experience. There's the teaching aspect is there, but then providing educational support, and also providing mentorship and like an aspect of fun is great.
Right. That's awesome. And like I know I've been teaching as well online and you're so like bang on with having that personalized touch with your education, and with online teaching, because it's so important and it's just becoming more competitive now, right? So you want to keep it more authentic, more personalized, and also like taking care of students' well-being at the same time. So especially you did touch on mental health. How is that going for the kids at the moment right now? I'm just curious to know in terms of their education, what's, since you have so much of that experience
Yeah.
working with so many kids, how is that going for them?
I'll be honest with you, it's been really tough. It's
Yeah.
been really tough for a lot of kids. And coping with the academics part of
Mhm.
it is one thing, but also the fact that there is a social aspect that the kids are missing out on right now.
Yeah.
It's been really tough for kids. They have no one to talk to besides their family members, and they don't even have that in-person learning experience either. So, it's mentally, I feel like they are struggling, and we're trying our best as an institution and an organization to kind of give them that support, so that, they're able to cope up with during these difficult times. And I'm really hoping, in a few months, I'm hoping it's this year, that they're able to go back to school in person. We're hearing some good news with the vaccine and everything.
Yeah.
So, I think it will be really beneficial for students, especially students that are younger,
Right.
ages 4 to about 8. They have been affected a lot. And I really feel they need that in-person touch, that personalized learning experience that they get in school. I believe that it's very important for their development, their mental development, their social development, and their academic development.
Absolutely.
So I definitely feel that they're having a difficult time right now, but it's I'm hoping for something better coming soon.
That's so cool. Like, and honestly, not just education. I know you started another entrepreneurial approach, which is in jewelry. I mean, can you explain that?
Yes, so this is completely different from,
Like,
you know,
what are you not doing? Please explain that to me.
so you know what, when this pandemic happened, and so once we went online and we went virtual, I was happy with the progress. And just a little background, I come from a family of jewelers, and uh, it was something that I've always been around growing up, and I've always been, and I mean, as a girl, I've been interested in jewelry my whole life. I mean, what woman isn't? And it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Just I just never had the time, first of all. But during the pandemic, I decided that, hey, maybe this is a good time to kind of start something. And so hence we started Anaya Jewels, and we do custom jewelry, fine jewelry. We specialize in engagement rings and diamonds and gold and silver jewelry, and it's all custom designs. So we have designers, we have people that kind of literally make it by hand. We have goldsmiths, and any design you basically kind of give us, so we are able to create the exact same thing. So
Right, so you can
you know
replicate it.
yeah, it's yes, replicated, but also, like, if you have something
Custom
unique,
design it.
custom designing. Yes, so we
That's
got into
awesome.
that, and that's been a really amazing experience for us as
Awesome.
well.
Yeah.
Very different from what we're doing in education. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, the thing that they both have in common is the fact that at the end of the day, your customers satisfaction is so much when it comes to having a job like
Delivery.
that.
Mhm.
Yes, the kind of messages we get from our parents saying that they really appreciate what we are doing, and they like, we made their students' day, is the same response we are getting from our clients that purchase jewelry, that they really appreciate the fact that during these difficult times they were able to get such beautiful pieces of jewelry from their loved ones.
That's amazing. And I wanted to also speak to you about, or rather ask you,
Mhm.
what was your key driving force to become an entrepreneur? What motivated you?
So I never got into teaching, thinking I was going to be a businesswoman. And
Right.
that was never my intention to begin with. But I truly believe that when you're passionate about something, when you give something your 110%, when you are sincere about what you're doing,
Yeah.
um, it does kind of reflect in your work. It
Right.
reflects on your business as well as a whole. You will be successful. You will do well if your intentions and the hard work is there, right? So going
Absolutely.
back to your question, I didn't answer the question, but I never got into like being an entrepreneur. I never thought about it that way. It just kind of was, um, you know it discovered me rather than me discovering it. So,
Right.
and I have a good family support. They had, like I mentioned, they have been in business, so I learned a lot of the business aspects from them. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's the kind of service we provide, because we are in the service industry. It's
Yeah.
the kind of service we provide that kind of propels our industry and propels our business to go forward.
Right, that's amazing. And what advice, I know going back to education here again, what
Hmm.
advice would you give to other educators who are starting off right now and who don't have enough students to work with, but what can they do? What advice would you give them as being educators and probably stumbling upon more clients and work?
Right. So, I mean, a few words of advice. I mean, this is something that I learned early on, and it was something that I read somewhere, and I'm not remembering where, but there are two things that, in life you are never going to be able to get back. And one of it is opportunity after it's missed, and time after it's gone. So, for entrepreneurs who are starting out, there's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a
Absolutely.
right opportunity.
Mhm.
It's when you get something that you feel is it aligns with your ideas, you need to jump on it, and you need to just go for it sincerely, wholeheartedly. If you do that, things will work out. um, you will do well. And kind of going into like the logistical part of it, marketing, I think that's like number one for
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs. I think that is, especially now with everything being so virtual and online, you have to get your name out there. um, you have to try different marketing techniques, and I think that's really important to grow your business, to
Right.
get more students, to get your name out there, right? So
So speaking of
Mhm.
right, and speaking of marketing techniques, like how did you market your business when you started off, and which tactics have you been most successful at? Like obviously you don't have to give your your secret sauce here, but what like
Of
how
course,
did you
yeah.
market your business?
So initially, there, to be honest, there's no secret sauce. When it comes to marketing, there are things that will work, and there are things that won't work, and it really depends from business to business. And you have to try out everything before deciding what works for you.
Yes.
Initially, when I started off, and now that I even think about it, it's very strange for me to even think that this is how I started. But I literally went door to door fly. I did home to home flyering personally. I did that.
Right.
I advertised, in the local newspaper. I
Mhm.
did a few things like that that kind of really put my business out there.
Right.
And after that, and I think the most important thing is word of mouth referral. Right now, my business is successful because of its referral based right now.
Right.
um, I have students from all over Canada. I have students from like Calgary, Edmonton. We do even, like Montreal. We go, we're not limited now to just the GTA.
Right.
We are all over Canada, but it's all through word of mouth, and people referring your business because you're providing something amazing, right?
Right.
So I think that is very important, and that comes with the service you're providing. If your customers like the service you're providing, they will refer, and that becomes like a ripple, like a domino effect. So
Definitely.
yeah. Hmm.
So, like, I know, you did mention you went door to door, flyer to flyer, but especially during now that we are have entered a new world,
Hmm.
how can somebody do this virtually? I mean, I know you said you have been very successful at it all with your online teaching. So how can somebody do this virtually if they are looking into it?
Right. It was a different situation for me because I already had a big network when it came
Right,
to my
right.
clients, and
Definitely.
it's for me it was a matter of sending out an email,
Mhm.
and I would get more clients. I
Right.
know a lot of people are not in that position right now, but there's so many different avenues where you could do your marketing. I mean, there's social media. That is, I think, the biggest thing right now. There's
Right.
social media. There are different, even websites like Kijiji, I would
Yeah.
say,
Or
is
Craigslist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Craigslist and things like that. I Google ads. These are
Mhm.
different things you can do. And like I said, right now my business, even though we are virtual, we do marketing, but a lot of our students come through, it's referral based, it's a word of
Yeah.
mouth, right? And it takes time, and I think that's the most important thing I have to say to um, aspiring educators and entrepreneurs who are in the education field.
Right.
It takes time. Nothing is overnight, and you have to keep at it. It's not a day thing, it's not a month thing, it takes years to build up.
Definitely.
And you have to persevere and stick to it. If you're consistent, it will work. It will work,
Definitely.
there's no doubt. Yeah.
Definitely. I think it's all about being patient as well, but at the same
Of
time,
course.
it's I mean, you could be patient too, but you also have to put the hard work at the same time. You
Hmm.
know, so I think it's so important to not just look at few platforms, but even Facebook is a huge market right now to to promote your education system. And
Of course.
there's so many other um platforms to even create your own website to be able to market yourself, right? So
Hmm.
I think, yeah, like you said, perseverance, consistency, and hard work is so important. And more than that, I think it's so important that you need to love what you do, because without that, it's just going to become another job that that you're just earning from, but you don't really have that passion for.
Of course, like you're absolutely right with that. Like I mentioned earlier too, my job doesn't feel like a job to me.
Exactly.
I've been doing it for 8 years, and I don't feel like I am working. And 8 years later, if I still feel that way about what I'm doing, and I feel truly thankful and grateful that I was able to find that one thing that I'm truly passionate about, that I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life, right?
That's
So
amazing. No, that's
yeah.
absolutely amazing. And the fact that you started, at such a young age, which was 22, and your family was also like there, and I think
Hmm.
that's so important. So definitely that's amazing. I do have some more questions, so I know we don't have much time, but I'll be quick here.
Hmm.
Um, so how do you describe or outline your typical day?
So my day varies. I don't have a set schedule, and that's, I think, true for every entrepreneur out there, and business men and women. It's not a routine that I have, that I stick to
Right.
every day. There's certain things that I do on a daily basis that are geared towards each of my businesses. I'm lucky enough to have a flexible schedule. So mostly during the mornings, I am a firm believer in, if you're mentally, uh, you know, uh, if you're mentally at peace, you are gonna project that in your work. I do get in
Yeah.
a workout.
What do you do? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I work out every day, even though we are in a pandemic and gyms are not open. I
Yeah.
make sure to do a few exercises every day.
Mhm.
I go running. We went running yesterday, and that felt amazing, just to get out there and do some physical activity, get some fresh air. So that is a very important part of my routine. Focusing also on your work that is, my jewelry line. So like that is, during the mornings I focus on that, and in the evenings is when I focus on, my education business as well. So just having a balance. And then at the same time, I truly also believe that you have to have a good, family work life balance.
Definitely.
And also I'm newly married, so like having that time to, spend time with your husband or
Yeah.
with your parents, I truly feel that is really important, and it kind of grounds you as well. So, to have that kind of support system, because sometimes we get so caught up in this fast-paced world, we get so caught up with what we're doing, with our jobs, how stressful it is. It's really important to kind of go back to basics and kind of look at where you started from and spend that time with your loved ones. I
Mhm.
think making time to do that is very important. Very, very
Definitely. And
important.
especially when you love something that you do, I think all of that just comes naturally, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
So when you love something, it like I said, it doesn't feel like you're even working at the end of the day because you love it so much. Yeah.
exactly. And that kind of trickles down to my next question. What motivates you?
I think what motivates me is the kind of difference I am making in, my students' lives. Um, Not only that, even for my teachers,
Yeah.
they are they love what they do, and for me to be able to provide this platform for them where they're able to pursue what they love doing. I am forever grateful for that, and I think that motivates me the most, is, the community I have, like my teachers, my students, my family. I want to be the best version of myself for them, because that gives me satisfaction.
Exactly.
you
Absolutely.
know it's
Yeah.
really important. Being successful is not about, how much money you make or what you have. It's not about the material things. It's what you are putting out into the universe and what kind of energy you get back from them, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that's what motivates me most
Hmm.
on a daily basis. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm not sure if you want to answer this, but I'll try it anyway.
Okay.
What is your greatest fear and how do you manage fear?
I think my greatest fear is, not being able to do what I love.
Okay,
I
great.
think that is my biggest fear. And I think it kind of stems from the fact that I've always done what I loved.
Right.
So since I was young, like, younger, to when I went to college, university, to when I started my job, I've always done everything that I truly love doing. So
Yeah.
tomorrow, if somebody takes that away from me, that is my biggest fear.
Right.
And like, I don't know how I would cope with it.
Mhm.
And I think the only way I could answer that is working hard day in and day out to make sure I'm able to do what I love for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
Right.
I
So, yeah.
couldn't have agreed more. And that was just extremely well said. Also, do you believe there is some sort of pattern or formula to becoming a successful entrepreneur? Like, I know you started off at such a young age, which is when you were 22, and you said, like, I knew at a very young age, I knew what I wanted. So, um, what would you say to those who are still trying to find their path? And for me, I think age is just a number. So it's like, what advice would you give for that?
You're never too young to start something. I
Right.
think that's the number one advice. And I was lucky enough to have a family that supported me, because you do find that age does become an issue sometimes when you're starting off new. And you do hear like a lot of no's when you're very young, when it comes to opening your own business. So I truly think having a good, resource system around you really helps. Connecting with people that can guide you,
Mhm.
where you want to be. I think that's super important. Giving you the right, showing you the right path,
Yeah.
showing you a way in which you can be successful, and helping you kind of reach the right people so you can start your business. And I think once you're able to start your business, it's your motivation and your hard work
Yeah.
and your consistency that's going to make you successful.
Yeah. It's almost
um,
like, hey, you're given the ingredients, now you make
yeah,
everything out of
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. So now, you can be, like a 5-star restaurant quality kind of like,
Yeah.
dish, or, you can be, if you do, and there are different things, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you want to be like a mom and pop store? Do you want to, there are different types of businesses too, different industries, right? So you have to kind of make it what you want to make it, and that will come, with the right people that is in your team. And I truly believe in that too, like having the right team of people around you, advisors. And for me, it just happened to be my parents,
Right.
and
And
they
it's hard.
guided me. Mhm.
Yeah. And what if, there are people out there who don't have supportive family or parents? Like, how can they start their journey? And, you know, yeah.
There are a lot of, resources out there. There are a lot of business communities out there. There are a lot of, I know, there are, female entrepreneur groups out
Yeah.
there. So, and that goes for male entrepreneur groups. There's a lot of groups like that where you can kind of, create a good network.
Yeah.
I know, for example, in the city where I'm in, there's a board of trade organization that I'm a part of, and
Amazing.
that's, initially, when I started off my business, that was a very big help, because I got to network with a lot of people,
Right.
and I was able to meet different people, ministers, from the community. I was able to meet a lot of different businesses, how they're, different marketing skills. I learned from them. So, it's good to be part of these small communities if you don't have, family that can help you out, or friends who are, in the same space that could help you out. It's good to network. I think that's super important, and meet the
Absolutely.
right kind of
Yeah.
people who can
Yeah.
guide you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Networking, creating a nice community, around who can actually support your vision. And it's just
Yeah.
works both ways. I think that's incredible.
I think when you start a business, it's not about you. It's
Exactly.
about your team,
It's about
right?
your team.
So
Yeah.
it's very important to invest in your team,
Yeah.
and really take care of your team. I think that's very important too. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Especially when you have like a large number of team, right?
Yes, you have a lot of people who depend on you, right? So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Um, who has been your greatest inspiration? I think I already know that, but I'd love for the viewers to.
I think my greatest inspiration, they have to be, I mean, I've mentioned my parents many, many times,
Mhm.
and they are the biggest inspiration for me, because they have always supported me and my
Right,
dreams,
right,
and they have never said no to anything that I've wanted to do,
right,
and they've always guided me until today. They continue to guide me and support me, and I really look up to them. I learn a lot from them. I
right.
take it in. I truly appreciate them being in my life, and I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for them.
That's
Yeah.
I'd say the same as well. Like no matter what, I think with my parents, they've really guided me and just given me the power and the will to do what I wanted to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And that's
when you look back, you sometimes, like I said, you get so caught up with everything that's going on that you don't realize it. But when you really take a step back, you see the kind of resources they've given you, advice, guidance, and it's just amazing, the selfless love that they have for kids, right? So it's truly amazing, and I think that's something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And if I ever to were to become a mother in the future, that's something that I want to be for my kids as well,
yeah,
right? So it's
definitely.
like I said, it's like a ripple effect.
I was
It's
just gonna
what.
say it's like a ripple
Yeah.
effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Now this here's my last question. What kind of impact would you like to make in the world? And I already feel you are doing that with your through your education and with all these things that you're doing. So yeah, what kind of impact would you like to make in the world?
The kind of impact that I'd like to make in the world is a wholesome one where I can influence young minds
Mhm.
and kind of guide them in the right direction.
Right.
So, right now, there are a lot of families and there are a lot of kids that don't have that guidance, and a lot of them are immigrant families that come to this country. And so I want to be there, you know, providing that kind of guidance and support. And I think that's something that I want to put forth into the world, and I want to continue doing that. And education is one of those things. It's really rewarding when you see somebody who you've seen from, like, you know, 5 6 years old, and then they're graduating high school, going on to do bigger, better things.
Right.
That is the most rewarding thing. That the feeling is amazing, and I think that's something I want to continue for the rest of my life.